Can we talk about toddlers not listening at bedtime? Because bedtime is where so many good parents suddenly start feeling disrespected, ignored, and completely defeated. You ask your toddler to brush their teeth, they run away. You ask them to put their pajamas on, they suddenly collapse dramatically onto the floor. You say, please get in bed, and somehow that turns into cartwheels, fake coughing, asking for cheese, needing to tell you one random story, and emotionally unraveling because their sock feels weird. And after repeating yourself 47 times, it's really easy to think they just don't listen. But honestly, a lot of toddlers are not refusing bedtime because they're bad children. They're struggling because bedtime requires a ton of skills that toddlers barely have yet. Think about what bedtime actually requires. Transitioning away from stimulation, stopping what they want to do, impulse control, following directions while they're tired, emotional regulation, body regulation, separation from parents, slowing down their nervous system, and cooperation while exhausted. That is a lot for a tiny human, especially after an entire day of noise, transitions, emotions, learning, correction, excitement, frustration, and stimulation. So by bedtime, their brain is basically just running on fumes. And honestly, most parents accidentally interpret nervous system overload as intentional defiance. Now, listen, toddlers absolutely test boundaries sometimes, but there's a huge difference between my child is trying to make my life miserable and my child's brain and body are struggling to function right now. Because your response changes depending on what you believe is true. So if you believe your toddler is intentionally disrespecting you, you usually escalate faster. Your tone sharpens, you repeat louder, you threaten consequences. You get emotionally hooked. Now, if you realize, oh wow, their nervous system is completely maxed out right now, you usually lead differently. There's more love in this. So one thing that I noticed with toddlers is the more overwhelmed they are, the less words they can actually process. But parents usually do the opposite. We start giving speeches. How many times have I told you? If you don't listen right now, you never listen at bedtime. Why are you making this harder? Meanwhile, their little brain is basically buffering like bad Wi-Fi. So one of the biggest bedtime shifts, use fewer words. Short, calm, predictable. Instead of, how many times do I have to tell you to brush your teeth? Try, it's teeth time. It's time to say goodnight to your teeth. Instead of, stop getting distracted and go get your pajamas on. Try, pajamas first. I'll help you. Instead of emotionally reacting every single time they don't immediately comply, become calm and repetitive. Toddlers respond better to regulated leadership than emotional intensity. And honestly, sometimes what looks like not listening is actually a toddler trying to regain control, because toddlers have almost no control over their day. Adults decide when they wake up, what they wear, where they go, what they eat, what they leave, or when they leave, when they sleep. And bedtime is often where they finally push back. Not because they're evil masterminds, because they're human. And this is why tiny choices can help sometimes. Not unlimited choices, not 20 options, tiny controlled choices. Blue pajamas or green pajamas? Hop to bed or tiptoe to bed? One book or two? That gives the nervous system some sense of participation instead of constant control being done to them. Another huge thing, parents often accidentally create power struggles by expecting immediate obedience while the child is dysregulated. And honestly, most adults don't function well while being dysregulated either. So when you are overwhelmed, you forget things, you lose focus, you get irritable, you struggle to process information, and toddlers experience that too. We're all human here. But toddlers experience this even more amplified. So before assuming they don't listen, ask, can their nervous system even cooperate well right now? That question changes the energy in the room. And I also think that parents underestimate how much our energy affects bedtime listening. If we're rushing, if we're angry, if we're overstimulated, if we're multitasking, and if we're anticipating a battle before bedtime even starts, our toddler feels that tension immediately. Sometimes parents walk into bedtime already emotionally prepared for war, and toddlers sense it. Their nervous system responds to ours before words even happen. So one thing that genuinely helps, regulate yourself before trying to regulate your child. Not perfectly, just intentionally. Unclench your jaw. Lower your shoulders. Slow your walking speed. Sit down instead of hovering. Whisper instead of raising your voice. Because calm energy often increases cooperation way faster than louder energy. And no, that does not mean that toddlers suddenly become perfect listeners. They're still toddlers. They'll still delay, forget things, get distracted, melt down, ask for what we think is nonsense, and act like brushing teeth is an emotional terrorism. That's normal. The goal isn't robotic obedience. The goal is helping bedtime feel less emotionally explosive for everyone involved. And honestly, sometimes the biggest bedtime win is simply nobody screamed tonight. That counts. So tonight, if your toddler isn't listening at bedtime, pause before assuming disrespect. Their nervous system may just be overwhelmed, exhausted, emotionally flooded, and struggling to transition into rest. That doesn't mean that there are no boundaries. It just means that boundaries work better when they feel safe instead of threatened. So you're not failing because bedtime is hard. You are trying to guide a tiny, underdeveloped nervous system into sleep while managing your own exhaustion too. That is real, and that is a lot. You are doing absolutely amazing. I hope you have a calm and colorful day.